So maybe you can give us an idea of the details of these 7 retrieved documents. But in the first place, are they back here in the Philippines?
Yes, yes.
So you were able to get them already from the seller?
Yes.
The one that was being sold and then the other 3 that
Yes.
they volunteered. So you have 4. And first, there was the letter of Cavite Revolutionary Governor Ladislao Diwa on February 2, 1889. So we're flashing it here in the screen. Can you
He's a
give us an
co-founder
idea?
of the Katipunan.
Okay, so what's the significance of this document?
Ladislao Diwa is one of the prominent personality of the Katipunan. And the letter of Ladislao Diwa actually was addressed to
Emilio
Aguinaldo as the president, talking about what is happening in their area in Cavite.
A lot of the people who buy documents on eBay, correct me if I'm wrong, they really are not after their historical significance, which is what is heartbreaking for historians. They want the autograph.
Oh,
They want the
signature.
autograph. They want the signatures. And that's the one that's worth 1,750, 749 and 95 cents. That's
what do
they're
they
looking
do with
for.
the autograph? It's
Because
just
they're
more for
autograph
collection.
Yeah, they're autograph collectors. You know, people who want Michael Jackson or Emilio Aguinaldo or Joe Biden or Trump. They want that autograph. So the historians get very upset because they could care less about the what's inside,
Yeah,
and then they just want that.
that handwriting in the end. That's just a
So
signature.
it's listed under autographs.
And then of course the contents
I mean,
are
they would
lost.
care less if it was
Yeah.
the co-founder of the Katipunan or. So
Sayang.
it's very sad. Yes.
And the next letter, let's look at the letter of Jose Maria Basa, which was written in Hong Kong
Yeah.
on May 18, 1898, and this was addressed to his relatives in Manila. What is the significance of this document?
Basa was part of the Hong Kong junta. So they are in Hong Kong trying to campaign for the Philippine cause. And basically the letter of Basa is asking his relatives in the Philippines to support the cause of the Philippine government.
And we have, yes.
So, Basa, if you watch the movie Gomburza, and he was one of the people implicated in the Cavite Mutiny. And he was exiled in the Marianas and finally released on condition that he would never return to the Philippines. So that's why he ended up in
Hong Kong.
But he became very friendly with Jose Rizal because Jose Rizal also practiced medicine in Hong Kong. So these letters reveal not just that cursory look at it, but actually the behind the scenes lives of the heroes.
Yes, and the fact that he was writing about what was going on in the Philippines, it gives you also the historical
flavor.
records of what was going on in the Philippines at that time, like when he wrote the letter. And let's look at the next letter. This is the Manifesto of Mr. Rojo in vegan with text in Ilocano.
This particular document was based on its documentation. It was retrieved by the Americans, posted at the door of the house. The title is in Spanish, but the text is in Ilocano. Basically, it's a manifesto telling the Spanish to get out,
It
stay
says
out.
afuera frailes.
Afuera, outside, yeah.
Outside.
Get out.
Yes.
Get out,
Or
friars.
you're not welcome.
Umalis
You're
na
not
kayo.
welcome.
But I find it interesting that even the text was in Ilocano, and I'm very curious to see if there have been changes in, the way the words are written. Like, for example, I love history. Like when I read one of the biographies of George Washington, I noticed that the way that English was written years ago, and even the text that George Washington himself would write, is different from the way English is spoken now. So I'm curious to see, after perhaps you retrieve this document, if you can tell us if the Ilocano way, the way speaking before is still same with the way Ilocano is being spoken now, or marami ng differences?
Marami ng difference, Attorney Karen. In fact, I understand Ilocano.
Okay.
So I
Is
can
it
take
the
a look at it.
spelling?
Basically,
Read something.
the way they write things, like they use C instead of K. You see the words.
Yes.
Third line, first word is kadagiti.
Kadagiti o kaganiti.
Kadagiti frailes. Or
Yeah.
in Tagalog, sa mga fraile.
And letter C, no, hindi K.
Not K. But now, since the start of nationalization of our language, it was changed from C to K.
Okay.
And then the other one is the use of UI, kitdi, QUITDE.
Looks like two people wrote this, no? So the words in Spanish are in one script, handwriting, and the other ones, iba in Ilocano or in another.
Yeah. And
They-
merong
they-
iba
they are
nakaslant.
words.
And then may iba like Fridays nakatayo,
Fridays
protesta
and then
nakatayo
protesta.
rin. Maybe pagka medyo Spanish, ginagawa niyang patayo
Parang,
yung
yeah.
sulat, no? Very interesting. But I could recognize some of the words are like ditoy. I also know a bit of Ilocano. Yeah, may Ilocano.
There you go. So,
And
you see
pati
how
yung
this would
T,
be so...
may T. So that's also Ilocano. We still use that up to now, the TI.
So
Yeah,
there are
that's
words
interesting.
still being used today. Sao, the one in the second line, fourth word,
Yeah.
is salita, mga sinasabi in Tagalog.
So,
So
And-
it's still the same.
so
but
it shows that how this brings a live history because
Yeah.
it's in Ilocano, and then everybody can understand it. Not a lot of the documents are in Spanish.
Yes.
I don't speak Spanish.
yeah.
And let's look at the next document. This is the travel certificate for various individuals issued by DAZA from the Capitania de la Administración Militar. What is the importance of this document?
Well, it's just an administrative document being done during that time. But the significance would be we can appreciate how the Malolos Republic, how the Filipinos back then set up the government. Early on, they are already organized. They are already running the
That's an
government
important point.
fairly well. The
And
question
systematically.
they have this mechanism, they have these processes. So this is a testament that our
They weren't just bandits.
yeah.
And you can also see, for example, if you wanted to trace any of your ancestors, like if they were part of the records of this Administración Militar, then you'd find the name there.
Out of
perhaps.
Sorsogon, by the way.
This was out of Sorsogon.
This is out of Sorsogon.
Interesting. See,
And,
even where the posts were located, that you'll find out from the records.
And you can see actually in the document the seal of the province of Sorsogon. So the Malolos Republic was able to establish provincial governments, and they have a seal. They have a stationery. That's actually a stationery. It's not just a
An
stamp.
ordinary
And the
paper, yeah.
administrator was Daza, right? Uyene Daza was the
So
hero
that's
of
how
Balangiga.
organized were the Filipinos, the Malolos Republic, before they were taken over by Americans.
Okay, so you also get to see from the records, right? Like whether there was a legitimate government that
Government,
was
yes.
formed after
Sovereign,
Aguinaldo
sovereign,
became
yeah.
president.
In fact, in other documents, we can see that the Americans also respected the government. That we saw in Quezon, for example, there was an official turnover from the Quezon governor to the American who took over the administration of the provincial capitals.
And the next document is a telegraph to U.S. President William McKinley, transmitting Basa's message to wealthy and educated Filipinos to support the Americans. Can you tell us about this document?
That time should be taken in the context when we are negotiating from America the help from them to against the Spain, against
the
Spain. So they were then in the process of meeting with the Americans in Hong Kong. So this telegram was asking the support from the Americans before the Philippine-American War.
They were betrayed.
And next document, we have a registration certificate issued to Don Cirilio Musni for his Carabaya and Cifras. What?
Carabao.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Carabao.
Carabaya
And brand.
Carabaya is a female Carabao.
kaya pala. And
The cifra is basically the
brand.
mark, the branding that they use in cattle or Carabao as a proof of ownership. And again, this will show to us that they have this process of registration. It's like getting a land title. It's about registering the brand that you will use in your with your Carabao.
yeah, I can see it like the credencial de propiedad. It's like a proof of ownership.
Yes, yes.
And then there's a brand.
Yeah.
Then that's the brand that will be etched to
Yeah.
the
You know, but
animal.
someone who studies law, like me, I find this interesting because we do have laws up to now still remaining, including on negotiable instruments law, the civil code, that would talk about seals and then yung mga branding sa cattle. And now I can see, ganyan pala yung ginagamit nilang proof before because, you know, it gives context to what we're studying. Kasi hindi na namin masyado ma-imagine because now you just buy from the market, right? By the time I was taking up law. But now I see what the root cause was of coming up with those laws.
Again, we can see here, Attorney Karen, that even during the establishment of the Malolos Republic, they were able to retain a good sense of governance. So it's a good point that like not everyone knows the details of our history. Some would call the Malolos Republic, the Katipuneros as a ragtag army, the Malolos Republic as a historical element of our existence. But if you try to look at these documents, you can appreciate that they have established a formal government fully functioning before the Philippine-American War.
And the origins of our red tape.
Yes.
Because
And
we
I'm
have
so
all-
glad the origins of our red tape.
They have
Because
the
love
bureaucracy.
they love
Yeah.
these forms.
Yeah.
They love these
The
letters.
documents
And
and
the letterhead
certificates.
and then the titles. It's
And last document to have been retrieved as of last week, January 16, 1899 report from Sorsogon Revolutionary Governor Celestino Mercado to the Interior Secretary about postal revenues.
Okay, it's a report of income from the. Now, they call it postal revenues, but way back then, it's not just mails. Many of our provinces send parcels through the post office. They also send some forms of money, like telegraphic transfers.
Cebuana
So,
Lulier.
it's one of the
Sending money.
Yeah, so it's one of the ways that the government
Tax.
earns. It's
Do we have the
just
percentage also?
you have to pay something for the services. So this is basically again a continuing effort that they were able to find a way to finance the government with the use
To fund the revolution.
to fund whatever the needs to be funded by the government back then.
Back then. And does the actual document now look like this, where the sides are already
They tore
torn
that
out?
no?
Yeah.
Did they tear that? Was it torn when stolen? Or does it match up to the microfilm?
The microfilm does not
Show the-
show
The tear.
the tear.
So it was
But
torn
basically, for these documents, aside from the look of it, we were able to establish the authenticity. Sometimes you see, Attorney Karen, when things are being auctioned, sometimes they are forgeries. So it's not just about, when you look at the microfilm copy, it's easy to compare the two documents. But when you have the original documents, you have to be able to distinguish what is a forgery and what is not. And surprisingly, it include elements that we were able to identify that belong to the
To the original.
original.
Okay, so at least we know that the documents we retrieved last week are all original.
Yes. The same with the good thing is we were able to compare
There are markings. There are markings.
the documents with the others that we already have. So it's a good practice.